Hello there. Hello, Mr. Willis of GOTO fame. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Simon. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm grand, mate. Actually, really, really good. And to everybody who's joining us as well on the various places we're streaming through to, I can see we've got Gary Hardy. Hello, Gary again. Sarah, you're on board, and I'm sure we'll have others in there. As ever, if you feel like asking a question, as long as it's clean, I will ask it there. But we've got as I said, the fantastic guys from GOTO here today to talk a little bit more about their service. And specifically, Alex, the bit I like about your title was control more sales and significantly increase your income with GOTO. So you didn't feel you could undersell this. You thought you had to go to significantly increase your income, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's, why hide the truth? That is the fact of the matter if people engage with us in the right way. So hopefully I can paint that picture today.
Basically, if they don't make significant amounts from you, it's their fault, and they're the idiots, yeah?
Oh, I mean, if they follow our process, then absolutely should happen.
Let me just see if I can share a screen here, Alex, because I think we've got just a very brief, just sort of overview document, haven't we? Let's just have a look. Here we are. So I'm just going to share this up on the screen. Can you see that okay from your point of view there? Let me just...
yeah.
Is that all right? Yeah, okay. So obviously...
Absolutely.
We're going to come back. Look, I don't want us to talk too much about the concierge bit straight away. Let's detail the services, if that's okay. And then what I'd like to understand is once we've looked at the individual services, how that ties together with the concierge sort of element that we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, there's 3 slides which I will quickly sort of whip through, but because of the fact we operate a number of services, if I just were to list them without any sort of visual aid, then I just find this paints the picture again a lot better. So these slides are important to share because these have stayed consistent since we launched the business in January 2016. So these have been the same slides that we've been using for 4.5 years. And the reason that we started the business and operated the concierge service was that we felt the moving process could be quite fragmented. There's obviously multiple things for home movers to arrange, multiple relationships for estate agents to have. And I feel that image there encapsulates the amount of things that obviously they have to remember to refer, but also remember to arrange, and home movers have to as well. So what the ethos is behind what we wanted to do is shown on the next slide in terms of the blue sky thinking, which
Sorry, Alex, just before we move off that. So what I'm looking at here, obviously, is a kind of almost an underground map, isn't it, of the complexity around the whole the home moving scenario here. And obviously what you've tapped into is that there is a lot of different things going on for the punter to control. And what you're trying to do, as I understand it, is help out with all of those, with of those different strands anyway. Is that right?
We're trying to streamline and simplify the process for a home mover, having to deal with one company and one sort of person, one phone line, one system to deal with their moving journey. And obviously this is encapsulated by what we do here, because myself, I last moved home in 2015, and just from my own personal experience, I sort of used the mortgage broker that one of my local football mates knew. The estate agent didn't want to sort of recommend anything to me, rather frighteningly. So, a survey, didn't want to know. Solicitors sort of left us to our own devices. So I was having to find out things through Google, search my own way around it. So this was obviously before I started at GOTO. Saw it firsthand how complicated that journey could be. And also, you don't know the level of quality provider that you're engaging with, whether the cost is competitive or not. So what we've got here is that we sit as a sort of concierge person for the estate agent and the home mover, and we can help arrange every element of the moving journey for them through the experts on the panels that we offer. So we have now 7 property services that we operate under the concierge service, under the same platform. And then obviously we're always looking to adapt and evolve them, but we've sort of released them one by one and evolved the concierge process to the point it is now from when we launched in January 2016.
So could you talk us through, just give us a really brief overview of those individual services where you can help out agents and indeed the consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we launched the survey service first, and that was because we were very aware of the banks doing a lot of desktop valuations. So people moving home wouldn't necessarily get anything for a survey through their lender. So we've allowed agents to refer to arrange an independent survey for their clients, and that's a survey purely for the benefit of that person, for their eyes only, and not conflicting with what the bank's going to say. So we, for us, that was quite unique at the time, and for the market. So it allowed us to get into a lot of great businesses, great estate agents who didn't have that revenue stream and that offering in place. And it allowed us to work with some really good agents that might have had in-house surveying practices, but couldn't service their conflict of interest work, or people that would move out of area, so they're sellers on their onward purchase. So we've sort of tapped into a fantastic revenue stream for agents with that service that we launched first. And what that then allowed us to do is, we launched our conveyancing panel. So our owner, Nigel Hoth, and myself, we've got good conveyancing backgrounds. So we've got a conveyancing panel that encompasses 15 core firms, and agents are, agents are allowed, able to get digital starter packs as part of that journey. We've just released fast track conveyancing as well. So fast track conveyancing allows us to instruct the legal pack up front. And what that allows us to do with a clean transaction, we can get that property exchange ready in 28 days. But worst case, significantly bring that transaction time down through some of the things that we have in place in our proactive panel management. So that's something that agents can earn very well from as well through the relationships we've got. We've got really competitive firms that they can build their fee on top of. Our mortgage panel is extremely unique. So rather than being able to compare lenders on a panel, we have just over 250 mortgage brokers covering the UK, and we can filter that panel according to the client's requirements. So distance from client, distance from agent, average loan size that broker deals with, average number of products they sell in, their fee. So some are fees free, others charge a fee. And then we've got specialist brokers that deal with buy-to-let only, self-employed only, adverse credit. So what we do there is, rather than sort of think, what best rate is it? Or, a lot of agents we speak to have a broker either in-house or they refer to, but usually, they'll fall out with them at some point, or the conversion rate isn't as high as they need it to be. So what we do is we can fit the right client with the right broker and make it a competitive panel. So the service is of the highest level, and we're continually monitoring, taking out, adding brokers to that panel if the agent wishes to as well. And then I suppose the other core, we've just launched our second wave of removals within the last sort of since lockdown kicked out. So we've got a panel similar to what we do with surveys of BAR regulated removal firms that cover every postcode in England and Wales and Scotland. So what we can do there is we've got technology that allows us to send a link to a client, a home mover, to walk us through their property, tell us what they want to take on the move, and then we can send that video to our firms that cover that area to then directly quote for. So the firms love it because they don't have to attend and do a site visit, which often costs them 250, 300 quid. They're not paying on SEO for those leads because we're bringing them ready-made. And that, again, is a unique service that we've launched that our agency partners absolutely love and have a need for. And then I suppose just on the final sort of core product that we offer, our online auction service we launched in January 2019. We'd sort of surveyed the market for quite a while leading into that and built the technology for it. And we sort of within 12 months, we've sold close to 550 auction properties. And that is something, a part of our business that grew significantly through the lockdown period because of, the fact that we could still generate interest, sell properties and do that kind of thing through the lockdown period. So I think I've sort of touched on those in quite a lot of detail, but those are the sort of the core products that we offer, and a little bit of background behind all of those.
It's easier to ask what you don't do, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think, if I was just talking without these screens, the sort of visual learners amongst us might look at that and go, well, yeah, I understand that. And to be fair, you've obviously got to give the detail behind the service because there are a lot of USPs and unique points to that. But essentially, for an agent referring to us, it is an incredibly easy process, and they can get a referral over to us in in sort of 1 to 2 minutes to allow us then to pick up and talk about these things. So from their point of view, they don't need to know the complexities. They need to know how easy it is to refer and essentially earn a few £100 for a minute's work. I mean, there's not many things that you can get that sort of level of pay for that limited.
Not legally.
I mean, I didn't want to jump in there. You're right.
So, could you just highlight again to me that dynamic about the surveys when there's a conflict of interest? Because I know you do have a number of clients, obviously, that do their own surveys, but they still come to you. Just talk us through that. Why they need to do that? Yeah.
So there's some fantastic agents out there. People like Andrew Grant, Pygott and Crone, Greenslade, Taylor Hunt. People that have their own in-house surveying practice.
Yeah.
Usually, if they. Usually those departments won't be able to do a survey on the property that they're selling.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, is there a conflict of interest there? So what we're able to do is bring their surveying practice onto our panel. So they can receive reciprocal work from us from other sources that might fall into the areas that they cover. But we can send their conflict work, the properties for when for their buyer buying one of their properties into our panel to have another surveyor covering that area to service. So that generates them that revenue stream. It cuts out the conflict of interest and it feeds them more business into their surveying department from other sources and other introducers that we've got available. So it's quite a popular angle.
Yeah, and I can see that because obviously there are a lot of those larger ones that do have their own departments, so it makes perfect sense, obviously, that you can fill that void for that niche there. By the way, that was a great little name drop of a few clients there. Very, very, very impressive. I'll pat you on the back for that. Talk us through then. I mean, one of the things that I imagine you get challenged with is, look, you're doing so many different aspects of the service there. How can you possibly specialize and be good at all of those? So when you hear that, what do you say to that kind of accusation, that question?
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, I can completely see why people would raise that as a point. I mean, I touched on our owner Nigel at the start of the webinar. Nigel was a mortgage broker for 20 years. He also set up a surveying practice called United Surveyors and ran that for 11 years. As well as a conveyancing panel that he previously operated as well. So from his point of view, he's got really good experience in 3 of those key parts of what we offer. And, I think we've got a really fantastic way of panel managing the experts that we're working with. So therefore, the experts are the solicitors on our panel, the sort of mortgage advisors doing the mortgage work. We're sort of panel manage them, and we've got really good knowledge and experience on the products that we're offering and how to maximize referrals. But the experts are the ones that we've chosen to be the best in business and generate and do the work. So, from that point of view, we've made it incredibly simple for people to refer. So I know that having spoken to, agents over the last few years, I know that business owners find it frustrating that their negotiators, their staff don't maximise the opportunities that there are to refer and earn from these ancillary services. So we've made it incredibly easy, whether that's them proactively referring or through our sort of numerous CRM integrations that mean that we can take that risk out of it by allowing sort of a referral to come over at a click of a button and sort of not relying on them to remember at every key point in the journey. So, I think just, we are the experts in terms of referrals, touch points, how to maximise the income. And we've got some fantastic experts on our panels who service the work and can sort of answer any of the sort of more legally, technically minded questions that people might have as well.
Well, I've seen your operation. It's very impressive, especially the new one you're moving into to cater for all the growth you've got. And certainly, I think the key thing is, look, you're measuring those conversion ratios, not just hourly, but down to the minute and making sure that they are hitting it. So that's the first part of it, isn't it? The old maxim of if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And you are looking at all of those. So I think that's important. Again, just very conscious, we're kind of winding up now. I've mentioned all the good reviews you've got on the site already. What would you hope that your clients say about you as a business?
I think, I talk quite openly and often about the revenue we can bring agents. And obviously that's a key part of business and people's business. But, the sort of feedback from customers, the feedback from staff about the customer service and the customer experience. I think, I hope and I think the reviews so far have said that there's an element of trust in terms of our business as well. They trust the people within the business, and whether that's good advice or us just being honest with them if they're not sort of sending over what they should. So a level of honesty, a level of trust, and the fact that the customer service and the feedback they get from their customers is of the highest standard. So those would generally be the things that I like to hear, alongside the fact that we're a massive, important part of their business in terms of what we earn them.
Yeah, okay. And some closing ones here. I mean, just to echo what you were saying and re-endorse it, Gary, again, 20k per month potential is equivalent to having in an office, so it's a no-brainer. Well, we can both let him say that, and he's absolutely
it's a great point, because when you're actually looking at, if we look at that income and the amounts I've said, if you can translate that into what that could be worth in your business, whether that's, however many staff members or, it does bring it home of what that could mean to the business. So it's a really.
I think one of the things, though, just again, not to do my topper routine, but it's far more important than that, because to a large degree, a lot of this stuff, this revenue is going straight on the bottom line, isn't it? So it's not just revenue, it's actually profit, which is fantastic.
Absolutely right. And I think, whether it's with auctions, the sort of cash flows a lot quicker than it might be through private treaty. The fact that with our conveyancing times, what we're doing with the fast track conveyancing and just our general private treaty conveyancing, we're often sort of weeks quicker than a usual transaction as well. So people are getting that money sooner than they might do otherwise as well.
Excellent there. And Joe, again, reinforcing here again how it's worked for him, because I think he's had it used the previous firms he's been at. So consistency is 100% key. A win here or there won't get the excitement going to build that momentum, but when it's absolutely day in, day out, it will become it's bigger than the sum of the parts, won't it?
And I think so. I mean, just in terms of Joe, we work together, and we've worked together through a couple of businesses, and I think the thing with Joe is he would always reach out to me, and we had a relationship where we would, he'd flag something to me if a client needed contact, or if we needed to reduce the price on something. And the relationships like we have with business owners or managers are really key to sort of getting more deals over the line as well. That communication, I believe, with some suppliers, if they're too standoffish and just expect the business to come in and don't have that level of engagement, then people, especially with the fact we don't charge for our service, people could just choose not to use it. So those relationships and that communication is absolutely key, and means that consistency of referral and income should be there.
Yeah, and that's I mean, Joe's just one of those dream advocates, isn't he? He's a forward-thinking, operator, and he's one of those where when he goes into a new business and he sees that they're not using somebody like GOTO there, it's straight on the phone, isn't it? And it's like, not being funny, Alex. We're all salespeople. We want to overplay how hard it is. We shouldn't really be claiming our full commission, but I won't tell Nigel on
that. We'll stay on after this. I mean, I think just Joe proves the fact that we sort of we went on to another business to work together. We have that all the time with people leaving agencies, working in a new business, and then getting back in touch to say, look, can we, get registered on X, Y, and Z service that we worked with on before? That really does show that they've had a good experience and the relationship's there and has worked before. So why would again?
Yeah. So of course now is the you've had the 3 hour now. What are you doing for our wonderful Kerfuffle members? Because there's always a price you have to pay on this show. Well, certainly while the pubs aren't open. So can you just talk us through what you're able to do for anyone that's going to inquire and come to you?
I think what I would promote is the fact that I'll send my Calendly link, and I would like to offer 1 hour referral consultancy, looking at your business and calculating through the conversion rates we see and the expectation of what we should be able to earn you from ancillary services. It gives you an idea of, are you doing enough of a good job within your business currently, and what is that extra income that you could generate from tapping into the way we do it, or just hearing about how we do it and implementing in your business anyway. So, sort of more of those conversations would be great. And I think I'll come back to you with a bit more of a sort of an offer that's around increased income, or we've got a voucher.
Hang on, significantly increasing income.
Oh, no, I'm talking about rewards. We've got a rewards platform. So if I come back to you about first month, we'll pay reward points on referrals rather than just banked income or something like that. I'll put something together. I'll come back to you by the end of the day, and then you can release that as well. I think that's an added bit that I'd like to get out there.
That'd be great. And I got all bashful now. That's really kind of you. So thank you. And I don't know what Joe's talking about here, but he says something about La Manga 2, which is, I don't know what he's on about there. So I'll just leave that there for anyway. Look, Alex, thank you very much for that. I'll just, we will go back to everyone on there. We want to have you back on, obviously, to talk about, all the other stuff and case studies. I think from my point of view, the fact that, they can essentially suck it and see the service that you do by just taking on board one aspect of what you have to offer. And then, don't go in, essentially balls deep as you have to. Try the bits of the business. And then as you feel more and more comfortable, enlarge that with you. Does make you seem like a bit of a no-brainer in terms of a company that they need to be talking to. I love the idea of raising the fees. We're always looking at ways, obviously, of doing that. As a fee defender, it's a fantastic tool to have in your kit bag. And of course, the fact that you're also in the ICG group, because I noticed Ian was on earlier and he'll bollock me if I don't say it. Obviously talks about the quality and the fact that you mentioned it before, you're very keen to work with other providers, which is what all agents want to see.
Yeah, and we've, the ICG group, we're sort of, it talks about bringing collaboration across suppliers, and we are actively working with 4 or 5 of the members in terms of crossover with products, how we can sort of help support their client bank versus vice versa. So, it's looking at ways that we can work together with other suppliers 100%. So the ICG has been fantastic for that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for today, Alex. That's absolutely fantastic. Thanks for the deal and all the updates on that. June the 22nd, I believe, is when the pubs are open, so we should reconvene there. We'll leave Gary to have the final word. Thank you for all your input, guys. That's great. It has been really, really good of you to engage so much as ever. And it says, great session, guys. Good to see you, Alex. Cheers, Simon. Thank you, everybody there. Up soon.
Thank you very much, everyone.